changes to be there. Okay. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, we do have privilege of the floor. Did you like to speak?
I'm sorry?
We have privilege of the floor if you'd like to speak.
Oh, my name is Stella Lamont. I live in Goshen, and Carol told me I should come to the meetings.
Welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any changes to the meeting, to the minutes of the meeting from February? No changes to the minutes. Okay. I have a motion to accept the minutes for the February 10th meeting. Motion made by Mary, seconded by Bernie. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Treasurer's report.
Thank you, Keith.
Jack?
Thank you. Evening, everybody.
Jack.
How's everyone?
Thank you.
I just realized on the P&L report, I have the year-to-date budget, but I think I left out the column with the full-year budget, so forgive me for that. But I think it makes the report a little bit bigger, so it'll be a little bit easier for everybody to read. But just the full-year column is left out. But the report through February, which is month 8, so we're 2/3 of the way through the budget year, and more or less we're chugging on schedule. The salaries are still, I think they're a little bit better than where they were last month. They were really good last month, but they're for the full year now we're like within a fraction of a percent of being on budget. 443 compared to 443, so it's really less than $1,000. So, you know, pretty much you can't get much closer than that. The books, unfortunately, I entered a whole bunch of Baker and Taylor after I prepared these reports. So the books will be more up to date for the next meeting, but more or less we could say that when they're all entered, all said and done, the books are probably right on budget. So you see the year to date we're 16,000 under. I would just assume that we're going to be right on for that when all is entered. And nothing else really stood out. So for the full year to date, total spending 879 compared to 896, 17,000 under. So when you add in the books, we're really probably right on, or maybe a couple thousand under. But that also takes into account that we had that hit for the retirement. So if it wasn't for that, we would be, you know, doing fairly well for the whole year. But even with that, we'll probably end the year, you know, right on to slightly under budget. And the balance sheet shows cash at the end of February of $504,702. And we still have one more tax revenue check, which we should be getting this month or at the end of the month, I believe, either March 31st or early April, for the remaining 10%. So that's another 110,000. So 615, and then if we spend, you know, 100,000 each month for the next 4 months, we'll probably end the year 215, 220, which is roughly what we had thought. You know, just rough speaking for 4 months, but we have one more tax revenue check coming in, and you know we have the 500,000 now, so we're on track to end right where we, you know, assumed we would end. And then the last point I'll make is the loan payment for March was done on March 3rd, and the balance is now $59.69, and that's with 10 payments left. 9 this year, and then the January one. The January one will probably be a little bit less than the normal 8,600, because it's 84,000, wouldn't even be 8,600 times 10. So 9 and change payments really left if you think of it like that. So more or less that's where we're at on the, numbers, continuing on track.
Very good. Anybody have any questions? May I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report? Motion made by Norma, seconded by Mary. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Director's
Like a judge. Judge Roy Bean.
Matt, you're up.
Hello, everybody.
Matt, should I stick
Yeah,
around?
you can go if you're
Okay,
ready now.
yeah. Excuse me for my voice, I'm just getting over a cold still, like a lot of people. Thanks.
Good night, Jack.
Good
Good
night,
night.
everybody, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You'll be 70 yet, okay, but
Right.
see you in June.
Thank you.
All right, where are we? Yeah, it was a rough month. Lot going on, a lot of things sort of converging at once, as you saw by my little poetic introduction here. Seem to have a little creativity in my life. I wasn't sure, but I think Mercury is retrograde. I was right about that, wasn't I?
Oh, it's calm.
Okay.
It's fine. You're good now.
Close, okay. Yeah, you see the closings again, we had a few closings, delays, pretty much in line with the rest of the libraries around us. I found out recently that Warwick now, I think I made a comment a while back that they seem to be, I used to use them sort of to get a sense of what we were doing, I used Monroe, the ones around us, and they've now opted to go with the schools, so that's why they suddenly are closing all the time, and they weren't before. I was sort of curious, same director, but suddenly this change in philosophy. I'm not sure why they made that decision, but that's how they do it now. I think Middletown may, Newburgh, some of the libraries do it that way. But anyway, that's just a side point. Jennifer Cullen, here at my left, found a job in Vermont. So
Congratulations.
fill us in a little bit more about that. Newsletter is done. It was a rush. Thank you, Norma, for your help. It was kind of, we had to do it, the timeline was a little compressed because of the trivia event and the annual report and stuff, but it looks good. I believe everything here is accurate now. I had a couple strange last-minute errors that I detected on my last go-through tonight, but I got to the printer in time to have them corrected. One of which was we spelled the mayor's name wrong. So
We're blaming that on you.
Let's see. And you all know about Carol's recent. But everything's on target. She stayed right on top of the vote, thank God, because if it wasn't for her, I don't know what we'd do.
Yeah. You don't have to get sick until after.
Yeah, right.
Tell me about it.
Not other stuff to do.
What's that?
Not other stuff to do.
Yeah, right.
Let's see. Oh, big news. We met with Megan Brennan. Actually, Paul Mays unfortunately wasn't able to meet with us. He would have come, had been the original date, but the snow date, he sent his partner. She's great to work with. We had two conversations. I had a conversation with her from 10 to noon with Eleanor and Michelle. We gave her a whole sheaf of information to take back with us. She was more or less just asking questions about what we do here, what we think we do well, what we think we could do better given different circumstances, etc. And I have to say, Eleanor and Michelle did a great job, and Linda as well, of putting together a pretty good dossier of information for them to go work on. So that went well. And then we had a second meeting with two of the trustees, Bernie and Jim, I believe, right? And that went well as well. It's very different, sort of from the inside for the first couple hours, and then looking at it from a wider perspective and from sort of community members' perspective for the latter meeting. And I think Bernie can talk a little bit more about that later, but I just wanted to make mention of it, or Jim, if you had any other comments about how you felt about meeting with Megan. I think it went very well from my perspective. I think they're from what I've heard and from now what I've witnessed myself, very easy to work with, very pliable, interested, definitely know libraries, they're experts in that field, I think, and very, they're willing to listen. I mean, she sat there for 2.5 hours with those two just talking and taking notes. I was really impressed with, so that's in line with what I've heard from other directors that have worked with these people. It's very good. I did ask him about coming to a meeting. He said that I was mistaken. I thought they came after the first. He said they generally like to meet 2 or 3 times with subcommittees and such before they bring the information they've gathered and their analysis of that information and what they would like to do with it, at a later date. So it might not be for a few months before we see them again here at an evening meeting, but we will see them with, again, with smaller situations. So far, so good. Let's see, Human Resources Administration of the Public Library. They should have titled something like "All the Ways You Can Get Sued If You're Not Paying Attention." Basically, is what it boils down to. Is rolling along well. It's a good class. Again, we've only had one, but I've already had my presentation doing civil service with Moffett Library Director Carol McCross, and we had to join up in groups. So that should be educational and interesting and frightening. Rotary meetings as usual. Let's see, trivia meetings in preparation to the, I've been meeting with the subcommittee, the historical committee, up to preparing for the trivia contest, which was a raving success again, I believe. It went off, at least from my perspective, it went off without any glitches. Technologically, we had everything in place. David tested that. We weren't ripping our hair out like the last go round. So live and learn, and it was nice to be able to use the in-house speaker system, right, rather than our PA system. I won't go too deeply into it, but I believe there's a push to maybe change venues next year. And maybe Jim can comment on that later on in the meeting. Building grounds, let's see. Well, we had that snow removed. That was outside of the contract, but they have an hourly rate listed in our snow contract for snow removal. But I had spoken to a gentleman the night before that gave us a pretty low estimate, and when I brought that to the attention of our DBROS people, they went lower, so they did it for $250, which we thought was fair. Danny was out there directing it. They got a lot of snow out of the way, and they did it up to spec. So everybody was happy. He had it 2 feet. Did you hear me, son? 2 feet back from the. I don't want to. So but I was happy he was here, so I didn't have to be out there hounding him. He did it. He did it for me this time. And I had a couple other things that came up I wanted to mention. We had. Okay, I don't jump when you hear this. We had an alleged flasher in the building. Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah.
What does that mean?
Somebody exposed. Allegedly exposed, right.
Allegedly.
But yes, so I took all
Confirmation.
I took all the information down. I was able to get. It's a strange story because I'm sitting in my office on a Saturday, and it was snowing, and we were considering closing, and we weren't sure what to do, and so and suddenly, Millie comes in and knocks on my window. I say, "Come in," and she says. There's a young woman here that would like to speak to you. It won't take but a hot second. And then she turned around and walked out.
It's your problem
And so I
now.
was like, right.
She wanted no
And
part of it.
so the woman came and she said, I'm a Walk Hill police officer. And I said, okay. And she said, do you recognize this gentleman? And then I said, I didn't. And then she proceeded to tell me what happened. And so now I'm in a little bit of a situation because I'm like, well, you're the cop. Like, what do I do? You're the authority, But she had, we're not sure what happened. I've talked to the police. They've had a couple back and forths with her. It's unclear whether this was just sloppy dressing and not, because when she said something to him, he jumped up and kind of turned around and sort of zipped up and took off. This is a guy that comes in here fairly regularly. Never had a problem with him before. So the police said, I had his name, I gave them the name, they ran a background check, nothing, no prior, about all this stuff. So they said the best thing to do really, there's not enough information to approach the person at that point. You really have to just alert everybody. Everyone was alerted with a picture of who the person was. This is alleged, we kept saying, we don't know for sure. This is what one person saw, we don't know. But they said your best bet is just to alert the staff, and if another incident occurs, well then you have something to go on. But as it stands now, they didn't believe there was enough to throw the person out or anything else because I don't want to go into a whole description on camera, but because of the situation, it wasn't, when you think of a typical flasher in the old movies with a raincoat, it wasn't something like that. It was someone sort of sitting and reading that, they were sort of unbuttoned and maybe something, and it was sort of an elderly guy that I don't know whether or not that elderly people came.
Careful.
Very
careful.
So no, the whole thing was a little odd because the people here that know him, that he's a regular. I don't want to give too much information so anyone out here thinks, but it's never, no untoward behavior, nothing strange, never any sign of anything like that, so we're just aware now, and if something else occurs, we will alert the police, and they said they would take it from that point on, so. that
They
was-
know I should attend our meetings.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the first that's happened since I've been here. But yeah, it was all kind of surreal, really, but,
So he can watch the video now and consider himself on notice.
Rotary,
Concern.
oh, here's good news, this is happy news. I brought to the Rotary's attention that the children's room planned to do another one of those sort of extravaganzas, this time without gnomes, this time with a bingo game that includes the 100 best, most loved children's books, according to the New York Times. And they're gonna have this whole game where the various venues around the village and town, whoever wants to participate, will get a sticker with a particular book on it, and there's the kids will have a bingo board, and it'll have clues as to where to go find these things, and it sounds like it's gonna be a lot of fun, and I brought it to their attention, and they were, I have to say, not just about the children's programs, but those Rotary guys were, almost it made me embarrassed, how positive they were about what we do here, and they really were, they jumped on it, they're gonna give us $300 to help with it,
Oh,
and
nice.
so,
Good.
that's some good news.
That's good.
And I'll end on that higher note. And I believe that's all I have that I can remember right now. Oh, Jim, I want to address your questions. I sent around to all of you the annual report. And Jim, I have to say, you've got a good eye. Noticed a couple things that I could probably have gone one way or the other. One of them was that shelving. I guess the reason I never changed that is this is that section about standards for libraries, New York State standards, and it's an odd thing because the standards are very, I don't know, they're vague, they're sort of vague. It's not like you should have X amount of computers for so many people. It's not numerical. It's kind of, do you have enough lighting? Do you have enough shelving? Do you have enough seating?
It's very subjective.
And the thing is, once you click the wrong answer to any one of those in there, it sends the red flag up, which means we do the annual waiver. So I could change the shelving, and maybe I will, just to be accurate, but it makes no difference for that body of things, because I've already said there's not enough seating, so that triggers that our library is not serving our population. In other words, it doesn't matter how many of those you trigger, once you've triggered it, it's sort of like they're just a set of questions, any one of them.
Yeah, but I guess what I was thinking was that,
Can I ask what the question?
the question was, do we
The
have adequate shelving,
Okay.
amount of shelving? And he had indicated yes, and I was thinking, we really don't have enough shelving here. I mean, the shelving is so tight that you have to have it at the very bottom.
Right. Oh, I agree.
People have difficulty getting stuff on.
Right.
They have to actually sit on the floor,
Right.
Yeah.
and it's out of reach for
Right.
many people up top.
I think you're totally right. I think that I guess what I'm thinking just that it doesn't make any difference to the state, because once you say you don't have enough room, I mean, that's the end of it. It's
But
already
I was
been-
thinking that when we go to the public to say we really need a new library,
Right,
we can say correctly
right,
that one of the reasons why we have to have a waiver is we don't have enough shelf space.
right.
We don't have enough seating.
Which would be true
don't
whether
have
I'll
enough.
change
See,
that.
I'm thinking that's gonna
Let me just-
strengthen our hand a little
Sure,
bit,
sure.
and it's true.
All right, let me just bring up a tension though, because Bernie and I have had several discussions about this. This is the section that we had talked about, do we want to be filling out these waivers for the next X amount of years? So I was divided somewhat, because I just sort of left it as it was. I actually have reversed some of them. Do you have enough lighting? We didn't for a while, and now we do, so we changed it. But Bernie and I were I don't want to get into a whole thing on this now, but the other side of that is, do we want to continue to have this be an issue until we have the building? I've reversed some of those, in other words, to try to get, the ones we can.
Yeah.
We'll never change the shelving situation. We'll never change the seating situation. The computers were fine. That question you asked was correct. That was the way we answered. And the space was correct as far as all of our public information is concerned. That's what we've always put out. So I have to go by that. That's what's on everything that we've sent out to the public. Whether it's actually correct if you had an architect come in and redo that, I don't know. But it's what's on our sort of.
Isn't it a logical conclusion, if we don't have enough space, floor space, we don't have enough space for shelves. It's not like we have bare places in this library where we could put shelves, or is it? What's behind the question? I mean, we don't have any more room to put more shelves, I think, right?
Right.
Right, we don't.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I can call them up and flip. I guess I'm just thinking as I say, once it's sort of, when you look at that thing, it's like 5A, B, C, it's one question really. And anytime you say no to that, it's immediately, now you have to fill out. So in my mind, it was that was enough, but I would be happy to flip that. I don't know if it's gonna make a difference to anybody. In other words, if you don't have enough space, like Keith said, you don't have enough space, you don't have enough, but I can change that.
It's probably worthwhile. Is this something someone can foil?
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
you
so
know.
probably not too much. Just to reflect
Sure.
the accuracy
Yeah,
of it.
And
just
I
because-
checked with Robert and RCLS as well, because RCLS signs off on it basically, and he said that the state approves whatever they approve basically.
Sure.
So as long as we show that we're moving towards rectifying it, either
Yeah, right.
internally or with the new library, however, that we have a plan, then it's fine.
Mhm.
Certainly with the shelves, I don't know, most of us agree that we're retiring books faster than we would like to. Anytime there's books that are being retired and maybe we're the last ones who have that holding,
Right.
that's unfortunate, you know. But yeah, we certainly need more shelving.
Yeah, I guess the
It's
frustration.
a relative
but-
term though. It's
That's
a
what I
relative-
mean. I was
But
gonna
if
say
somebody-
any
That's
library
the
would
whole
say
thing.
that.
We
Any
can
library
retire
would-
books.
but the thing is,
Do you
if
have
somebody
enough
gave us more
ones in-
shelves, we'd have no place to put the shelves though, right?
You're saying
Yeah,
that
right,
space
it's
so
linked
trumps
to, it's
the-
linked to the
Right,
spacing,
right,
right,
right.
to the
Right,
space, you're
so
right.
the fact that we have inadequate space.
Yeah, if
probably
somebody
trumps
donates
other-
shelves,
yeah.
it's,
Yeah, that's nice, they'll be in
It's
the
moved,
parking lot.
right.
yeah.
Yeah, right behind you. And I'd love to eat. Yeah.
That's where the tables go when we don't have one.
Show a few books.
I guess the question to this body tonight is that if we can push off ratifying, authorizing, whatever word they use, the document until next month, or you can say, you can give me leave to approach RCLS and say, can you change the? I'm not. The odd thing to me is we put a date in for that thing to be authorized, and I have to say that shelving thing's been like that since 1980. Whenever it's been the same. And they might be able to do it, but it may have already been submitted, in which case I think it's probably your best bet is just to go ahead and let it go for this year, and then the next year come around, I'll change it. But I can definitely put a call in to ask if they can. I hesitate to say they'll be able to, because when I received that 2 weeks ago, it said this is your annual report that has been sent to the state.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
right.
So I have a feeling it may have already
It's
gone
too
there. So
late,
I don't know
yeah.
why they do that, why they don't wait for the board to authorize, why it's just sort of an immediate thing. Maybe they have a deadline, but it seemed like there was no lead time. It was just, we submitted it, a couple days later we get back some changes we had to make to the money side, made those changes, submitted, and they say, okay, this is the one that has to be authorized, it's been sent to the state. I'm like, well, if it's not.
So we're not
But
okay.
voting on it is just
It's done.
window
It's a
dressing.
done deal.
Well, I think it might be, but I think your best bet is to go ahead, I would suggest, the best bet is to go ahead and put your seal of approval on it, and I'll try to get them to change that yes to a no.
Yeah.
I'll do my best, and if I
Okay.
can't this time around, we'll get it the next time, and they either can or can't.
Ship's sad.
But I have had them change things in the past, after the fact, so there may still be that time, I'll give them a call.
Okay, why don't you inquire, we could go ahead and approve it as is, but with the proviso that if you're able to make this adjustment,
Okay.
that also is subject,
Okay, sure.
We'll approve it.
What's that?
We approve it either way.
Yeah.
I could approve it.
I mean, it's funny because I'm sort of, I guess, well, let's put it this way. You guys have, in the last year or so, definitely given signals of moving forward. Now, for a while, we were hesitating. We were sort of in this holding pattern, as they say. So I was always on the fence here about, continuing to do that because it was jeopardizing the existence of this library. Every time I would
Every time.
I would send that in knowing that, maybe RCS is gonna run out of patience, maybe, I don't believe that's sort of a remote possibility, but my idea was to try to almost undo those things and to try to figure out ways that we can somehow, make the library at least look to the state, that we're doing the best we can given that this is not a library that should be closed due to its strictures. In other words, it's operating as well as it can and better than many its size. And so I was on that track, but now maybe with more recent developments,
Right.
where I just sort of skipped over that because I was used to just saying, we maybe should be more, transparent or whatever about the lack of, you can see where I'm going with this. I was,
Yeah.
you know, I wasn't sure what we were gonna do, and the last thing I wanted was the state to come around and say, look, we've done this 10 times, now you guys are done. You can't, you know, which I think would not be fair to the situation. I think we do a very good job. I think we could do a much better job, but I think given what we have, we you know, we
We're
don't
making it
deserve to be
work.
closed.
Mhm.
And so that was my thrust, anyway. But I'll definitely go ahead and,
Okay.
if that's what you'd like, sure.
I'm wondering what other small to medium even libraries have the same complaint, that they don't have enough shelving, because anytime you discard a book, you know, it's one thing if the book's falling apart and you have to, but
My guess is that all of them say they have adequate, because they don't wanna be in the situation of having to have RCLS sign off on their,
at one point.
right, they just wanna keep getting under the wire until they can get a new building. But you see, this all happened when the prior administration were fairly sure that they had the guns set on a target, right? And they made some choices choices at that point, which, you know, kind of mechanically initiated certain processes. When you look at the list, there's 3 libraries and 42 libraries in ICLS that have to do the variance, and we're one of them. Come on, there's libraries that are, you know, I don't wanna put anyone down on camera, but there's libraries around us that are a lot, you know,
Tell us now.
that are a lot smaller, right? But Goshen, you know, we started that push, and I think that was almost like a evangelical sense that it's gonna happen, so let's just check it off and go, you know? So that's so to back up again, I'm always kind of was riding this middle place of, like, you know, kind of trying to undo that process
We're
to get us
good.
out of it. But
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, we're fine.
Yeah.
I mean, how much does shelves cost? If it, you know,
Yeah.
if we
No,
needed
but
more
it's-
shelves, we
it's
could get
not
more
even-
shelves, we
that's
just don't
not
have space
even
to put the shelves, so.
Right, but that's,
Should we vote?
Thank you,
since
Matt.
we're talking about it?
This is
a
Like
formality.
under new business.
As a formality, we should
We're gonna
vote?
vote under new business.
Yeah, it's,
yes,
yeah.
oh, yes, let's move on.
Uh,
Sorry,
that's
Okay, we come back.
I get going though.
No.
Committee reports, should, Jen, do you wanna talk? I mean, I don't see,
Do you want me to go here?
we have, I don't know if does it matter the order?
Is she a committee?
No, I thought we've had Jen speak it.
I'm just asking, is that what we're doing, committee
Yes.
reports?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can be a committee if you'd like me to be. Yeah, why not?
no, I just trying to accommodate on the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, my mom's my
I
ride,
think
so
she's
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not.
gonna
Close
say she's
again.
hanging out here with her mom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I know, right? So I guess you guys heard I'm leaving. Sorry. Well, you know, they're gonna pay me, so.
your last Cornerstone
Oh, that's
performance.
good.
Yeah, it was.
Sunday.
What
So
if
yeah.
we match theirs out? No.
I looked at the
opportunity.
new budget. There's no line item for me, unfortunately.
That's a great opportunity for you.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm gonna be the marketing director for an equity theater in Vermont. So it's very,
Mm.
very exciting.
That
It's
is
right,
nice. Good
right up
for
my alley. So, in case anyone's curious, we sold out 3 performances for History Alive at Cornerstone. It wasn't a library production, but since we do work with Cornerstone, I thought I'd give you guys a
3 of
heads up.
4.
3 of 4. Yes,
Right.
we only did 4 because of St. Patrick's Day and the way the parade falls. We figured we probably wouldn't get a very high draw unless people were watching the parade, and we don't like to do our first show at night because we never know what the weather's going to be like. So we only did matinees, and we were sold out for 3 of them. 3 out of 4. The only one we did not sell out was the first show, which was super successful. We had a great time. Saw some new characters, some old ones. It was a lot of fun. So that's that. Next coming up, we have 2 by Tennessee, which is 2 one-acts by Tennessee Williams. It's in the flyer, which you will be getting very shortly, I have no doubt. In case you're curious, go see it. It's going to be really great. It's the same cast, all playing different characters. You'll see the same people, and the leads in the first one will be supporting characters in the next. So you get to see some people you've seen in other productions be very, very different characters. And they're very interesting plays, and Tennessee Williams just writes so beautifully. I mean, you can't mess it up. It's just like, here you go. So it's very exciting.
Case of the Crushed Petunias and a Long Goodbye.
There are 2 short one-acts.
Stella.
Yeah, we
That's the one I
we were
have.
gonna do Cat on
that's
Hot
in there.
Roof, we were gonna do Streetcar, and then we were like, we can't do that. So we're gonna do some one acts, you know, kind of dipping our toe in the water. Yeah, we were gonna do Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, but we realized we didn't have enough large, Big Daddy type men. So we were like, nah. They were gonna cast me as Big Daddy originally, but that didn't
I
work
don't
out.
see that working.
Yeah, no.
You're good.
Yeah, I'm good. No, I'm not good. So, I am leaving, but I'm not actually leaving because I'm still going to be doing all the social media managing because I can do that off-site. I did it through college, so I'm going to keep doing that. So all the Facebook and the tweeting on Twitter, and we're on Pinterest now. I'm working on getting that. Yeah, HRVH, the Hudson Valley River Heritage, is also on Pinterest. So I'm working into getting connected with Jen. She's going to give me all her information.
Nice.
So I'm going to try to get us into some more social media, which would be great. And if there's any emergency, hopefully no more snow closings, but if there is, my mom has access to it as well, so she can post, we're closed, or delayed opening for whatever reason. So she doesn't have to call me at 7:30 in the morning on a Saturday and say, hey, guess what, we're not opening until, 2 o'clock or whatever. So all the emergency stuff will be dealt with via my mom. So thanks, Mom. Speaking of HRVH, I actually got an email at 3 o'clock today from Jen, who is the head of the digitization program, and she said our postcards look, quote, brilliant. So that was very exciting. Yeah, we did a batch of 50, and we sent them to her, and she only sent back 9 that needed to be not fixed, but honed, I guess I'll say. And the great thing is with HRVH, we can make a template. So for example, on everything it says, this is from Goshen Public Library, here's our contact information, if you'd like to use it, you need to contact us. Or this is, like, where it says location, it all says city or town/village of Goshen, Orange County, New York. So that's done for all of them. Once you import it, it automatically does it. So it takes our work down a little bit, which is really nice.
And the really good news is we have a volunteer, I believe,
We do.
coming in, stepping in to do
Yeah,
it.
a guy I actually went to high school with, used to work with Michelle Figliomeni, who, if you guys don't know, she was one of the county historians. And then he went to Germany to teach or do stuff, not real sure what he did. And then he came back. And so now he wants to get involved. He went to Burke with me, I've known him for a long time. So he's really, in his history degree, so this is right up his alley. So him and Ann are going to sort of take over the project.
What's his name?
His name is John Grady.
John Grady.
Yep, he lives on Murray Ave. Lives right next to Sealand Dick Ayers. He lives right next to Sealand, yeah. So he's a Goshener through and through. So I showed him some of the pictures, and he's like, "Oh, Presbyterian Church, I know what that is." So he knows a lot of the. Yeah, I mean, everyone knows the Presbyterian churches. Yeah, that probably wasn't the best idea.
Yeah.
But a lot of the postcards, he knows what they are. He knows where they are. He knows why it's significant.
And he can handle the metadata.
Yes, which is awesome because that's the hardest part, because there's a notes field and a description field, and what you put in the notes field is different than what you put in the description field. And what is the subject? And
Does they
how do
use
you-
Library of Congress subject headings of all the weird
Yes,
things?
Library of Congress is very particular. Like trolleys don't exist; they're called street railroads.
Mm-hmm.
So if you put in trolley and someone searches for trolley, it won't actually link together. It'll say, you don't mean trolley, you mean street railroad. And so if you tag it as trolley, it will get
They'll
lost
never
in the
find
shuffle
it.
and they'll never find it. So it's a lot of cross-referencing, a lot of like meticulous kind of things. But I think he'll be fine. Between him and Ann, they'll be okay. But now we have our template set up. We have a good system on how to scan, what resolution we scan them at, how we put them into the system. So we're ready to rock and roll. The only thing Ann has to do is do our landing page, which tells a little bit about Goshen Library and Historical Society, and then just a blurb about our postcards, why we picked these postcards, or what our collection is going to entail. Like, these are collections. This is postcard collection from the historical charts room in the Goshen Public Library and Historical Society. If we have a section of postcards that are all about the trotters, let's say, some of these were donated by, or some of these were gifted to us by, we would sort of give them a shout out, I guess.
Southeastern provides this landing page?
Yes, they
Okay.
provide it, and we just have to tell them what to put on it.
Uh,
All of them are the same. It's just
That's
like
nice.
it's like an about me and then an about your
Okay.
collection. So they're all the same. If you want to go on HRVH, Chester Public Library is a template we use. We also use the CIA as our template, Culinary Institute of America, and they document their menus, which is really cool. And you should check it out because they got some really cool stuff in there. But we're using them sort of as a guide for us to emulate, because they have lots of stuff on there. Cornerstone, I'm leaving. HRVH, I think. Oh, I also went to the trivia night and I helped MC. I ran the mic back and forth. My thighs hurt a little afterwards, but I was okay, so don't worry. It was a lot of fun. It was the first trivia contest I'd ever been to, actually, and it was a lot of fun. And I knew some of the answers, and I wasn't even there when they made them up.
You did
So-
a great job. You really did a big help.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun, and I agree with Matt. The using the in-house sound system, you know, usually you hear, "What was that? What did he say?" There wasn't any of that, which was great. Especially when you're using a microphone, you never really know what's going to happen. But that didn't happen this year, so it was awesome. And Matt learned how to serve eggplant rollatini.
That's right.
It was-
Hundreds of them. it felt
Yeah,
like.
he did good.
Well, the
Mine
trick
came
was
out-
you had to kind of separate them from the cheese as people were coming
Because
up.
you pick it up
Otherwise,
and the cheese
forget
would
it.
take the
It
top
was-
off.
I
Yeah,
was
but
like
he
slapping
figured it
people with
out.
cheese.
My eggplant rollatini was one piece, so I was impressed. So he's got a backup career as a chef. Does anyone?
library thing doesn't work out.
Just in case. Does
Shut
anyone
stuff,
know?
no shelves.
Yeah, it's the little things. I think that's everything. Does anyone have any questions for me?
No, but good luck to you.
Yes.
We miss you.
I'll be
Best of luck.
around. I'm coming back for all of Cornerstone shows, so I won't be too far behind.
What's the name of the theater company?
It's called the Old Castle Theater Company. They used to be in Manhattan, but then they moved to Vermont, and so now they're in Bennington.
They're based in Bennington. Their theaters in Bennington.
Yes, it's actually an old Masonic temple that's been
Oh,
renovated.
Right in the downtown area.
Right in the downtown area. 3 doors down from their public library. The town of 15,000.
You're kidding me.
Go to Manchester.
Ideally suited to that.
I
It's
walked down the
accessible.
street and I was just like, Goshen, okay. So I'm very excited.
It's fun.
Good for you.
Yeah, but you'll see me. I won't be too far away. And if you need me, I have Facebook or an email, and my mom's around. So anything you need, you can get through her as well. So is that it?
Thank
That's
you.
it.
Yeah.
Thank
Cool.
you, Jen.
Thanks,
Great
guys. My last report.
Building committee. Vernon, Jim,
Yeah.
are you gonna speak about the meeting, or?
Well, I thought it was a very good meeting. I think she's, as you said, she listens and she is very receptive to ideas that people have. I guess you haven't met anyone from that firm yet. I think you're gonna be very impressed when they come. You'll be very excited.
Was she one who did the presentation with Paul? who
Yes.
Assisted?
Mhm.
Yeah. One of the things that she said that I thought was a good idea, they like to meet with the local building inspector. They don't have to by law, but as a courtesy,
Right.
and that this kind of makes for a better acceptance in the
Mhm.
community. And I hadn't thought about it that way, but I think that's an excellent idea to meet with Ted Lewis. I think they're excited to have 5 acres. Very rarely do they have a, you must
Mhm.
build it.
Yeah.
Here's 5 acres, by the way, it's
That's
pretty
great.
much flat and it
Yeah.
joins a park and like, wow,
Yeah.
this is like an architect's
She
dream.
said it was the best
Great spot.
spot she'd seen since she'd been doing this with Paul.
And she used the term,
Have high hopes.
I had said I was concerned that the building would be, since it's 5 acres, would be sort of lost on the 5 acres and people driving up and down on the road wouldn't even know it's there. And she said, no, it should have a presence. Community should know it's there. In other words, the building's gonna be up toward the road so that people, out of sight, out of mind. It's not gonna be out of sight. She talked about different kinds of sources of funding, private funding. DLD is,
Division of Library Development, but she
Yeah.
was,
there's some SUNY grants. NYSERDA has small grants. Of course, most of the funding is gonna come from the bond issue,
Right.
of course. There will be a building committee, which will meet at night, so people that are, employed in the community can be part of that. Anything else that you?
Yeah, I don't know if it was during or afterwards. One thing is it was pretty interesting. Anne found a lot of the old architectural plans, the original architectural plans for this building, which she was overjoyed to find. The actual one of the first drafts was on fabric, cotton fabric, and so she
Wow.
borrowed those to get a good sense of the building here. They also had records of sites that was reviewed either at the last go around or possibly even before that, which was interesting too. I don't remember, there were a couple that, like where the skating park or the skateboard park is now, that was a potential site previously, and near closer to the Garment Center too. It was interesting though, there was a couple all of them were located closer to schools. But we discussed that a little bit. Still excited about that. Those are all not landlocked, but there's less room there, so having doing it on the 5 acres is more beneficial. One interesting thing is she said that now that they are on the team, basically, or we're paying them, that any issues we have with this building, we can actually contact them about as well. Because anything that we're doing to this building, to add value to this building as well, because we're going to be selling it afterwards, so such as cupola or paint job or anything else. If we want to replace windows or anything, we can contact them, to get a sense of that.
Asbestos? in
Yeah,
paint? That's great.
basically anything we can that we're going to do here. So, it's about it. It's good. She was great. And Paul has been here too, so it's gonna be a lot of fun working with them. Definitely beneficial.
She wanted to get us individually, to maybe as a group, to go and see a library they did in Saugerties, as well as the Warwick Library. Even if you've seen the Warwick Library, she said you need to walk through with us, and we'll explain. Here's such and such, and this is why it's where it's located, and this is why you don't want to put it where most people want to put it. So it'd be like almost like a
Field trip.
training session.
Field trip.
Yeah, a field trip with an architect giving us
Backstage,
the inside.
backstage tour.
It's a backstage tour.
Yeah, I like it. Sounds like a good idea.
So I don't know when that would take place, but
It's
I think
warm
it would
out.
be valuable. Just
Summertime.
a Saturday
Yeah.
or something.
Summertime, warm out.
Okay. Cool. Thanks.
Sure.
It's exciting.
How's that?
It's exciting.
It is
It's
exciting.
like, this is good. Break ground already. Give me a shovel.
Norma's got this. It's
I got it.
Jim, would you like to talk about the trivia event?
Well, just
I know we discussion.
add that it was probably the most successful of the events in the point of view of the way it ran. But there were lots of hitches in the week before having to do with liquor license and with who's going to cater and who's going to pay for this and who's going to pay for that. And there's some people on the committee that really knocked themselves out, went through a lot of stress to make it happen because things came up that we never anticipated. We are thinking of not holding it in the Hall of Fame next year to avoid a number of these problems. We're thinking of perhaps holding it in Delancey's.
Delancey's in the back.
Looking into that, and that would solve a lot of our problems. We made $1,000, $1,001 or something like that. That's not the primary reason. That's obviously good to have the $1,000. That's going to end up in the summer program or something like that here at the library. People had a lot of fun, I think.
What's nice is it brings everybody, the community together.
Right.
Yeah, I like that. Been to a few of them already. Sorry I couldn't make this one.
I know. It's
always next year.
Yeah.
You were occupied.
Oh, yeah. Too. Well, thank you, Jim. Are there any other committee reports? I'm sorry, you have a
Committee
question there in the
reports.
back?
No, I have a committee report on the vote.
Okay,
Am I up next?
you are.
I just wanted the board to know that everything is going along. Everything is going along as planned on the library. We have 2 candidates running this year. Ellen Mary is qualified, and so is Bernie. They are running for the 2 positions, so
So congratulations.
pretty much. And
Just like last year.
I have received the information, for the absentee ballots. That'll be going out in the mail shortly, so we try to catch those people who otherwise can't make it into our vote on April 2nd. And in addition to that, I've been in contact with the gentleman that does our machines for us. We get the machines from the school. They allow us to use 2 of their machines, and they have to be set up for transportation. And then they're moved here a couple of days before the vote, and John comes in and sets them up for the vote. And then in addition to that, I have a chief inspector and a crew of 3 people that work with him. Now, I normally would give you a list of those people, but the list wouldn't be ready until actually after the vote. It would be ready for next meeting. This meeting being the last meeting before the vote is several weeks before the vote, so it's I don't have that information, except I can tell you that Lee Christian has consented to be our chief. His wife Jean is one of the persons who will be an inspector, and this year we're having a new inspector, Stella, who is here this evening, Stella Lamont. And I'm also awaiting information from Roberta White, who has been a longtime inspector for us, but I just haven't heard back from her. So everything basically is going along as planned. The notices have been placed in the newspapers, and our little newsletter will be going out. So everything is right on time. Does anyone have any questions about the vote?
I do.
Yes.
For the absentee ballots, it's a request for one, right? Somebody has to request an absentee ballot?
They do, but the exception to that would be is if someone has gone into the Board of Elections and told them that they want to be placed on a permanent request. Now, sometime if a person is ill or lives in a care facility, they might be a candidate for that particular list. Or if a person is in military, they would be a candidate for that list. So there's several reasons on how you can get on that list, and there's I think around 250 people on that list that's given to me, and I send them all a ballot. I only get a few back.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah,
I
the
thought
percentages I get
last
maybe
time there was
25 or
discussion on
30
that.
out of the
Yeah.
300. But
And
it's
there's
sort
a
of
cost,
it
No?
is expensive for us to do it, and
So-
we must do it.
but we
that's
have
part-
to we have to do what is required
Yes.
by our election
Yes.
board, or
Yeah, so we send out the 300, even though we know we're only going to get maybe 30 of them back. But everybody has the opportunity to vote. It's up to them whether they send it back to us.
I wonder if who is that, Annie Rabbit at this point? Right?
No, we have 2 inspectors, Mr. Green and Susan. I can't remember her
Barron?
name. Her last name.
Barron's?
Barron's. Yes,
Yeah.
Barron's is
I wonder if they actually check on these from time to time to confirm that they're still required. I'm just
that each
thinking
year.
back on the cost that
Yep.
was cited last time.
Each year I send out the 300, but I do get some of them back from the post office that the people have moved or they're deceased, and those are kept. And at the day after the vote, I report that to the election board that these came back, and they immediately update their
Okay.
list.
But
so
they
that
provide
it
the
is-
list. The
They
initial
provide the list
Okay.
to me.
So
The only
there's nothing we
additional
can do.
ones beyond that 250 are people who request them for this particular vote, such as Jennifer will be in Vermont at that on that particular day and wouldn't be able to do it. Occasionally, my husband is going on business trips on that day, and so he requests one. People who are going on vacation can request one, or sometime if someone has broken a leg or something, they'll come in and say, my wife, requires an absentee vote.
Got it.
So we do take care of them, if it's needed.
Do you know any more about when we're gonna be required to stop using the machines, or have they made a
Oh,
decision? I know, I'm
please.
sorry.
You're
I know
hurting
it's
me.
painful, I know.
But
But you were talking
we
about
still
the
have
expense,
permission,
and that's the,
to
that's
use
big
the
thing.
old style machines, which I believe my budget line is roughly around $2,000, and that includes all the papers that I need to run a vote. But come a day when we have to flip over to those new machines, you could well expect that budget line's going to be $10,000 or $15,000, because running the new voting machines
That's a
is
lot.
so expensive, incredibly expensive. And we may not even be able to have it here in our building. I know that's something that, different board members have had views on over the years. They say, well, why do we make people come into here? We don't have adequate parking, we don't have adequate space. Well, basically, we'd like people to see what our library looks like. If they're gonna come in and vote about our library, we want them, to see what it is that we have here. and experience how other people come into our building and all. So we want to keep it here, but if we had to use the new machines, we may have to go to a different venue, such as the Main Street School or a school auditorium, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because more space is physically required per machine. We're lucky at this point, and the school. We're very lucky that the school has retained a couple of those machines, because for a while, people who owned that style machine knew that they were being forced to use the new machines, destroyed them. But our school system did not. They kept, I think, 4, and so we're able to utilize them, now. But there may come a time when they say that they're no longer going to let us use those machines.
Do you know if the school district is planning on buying? We can coordinate.
I haven't heard, except that
That might be
every time
something to
Cindy
ask.
and I have a vote, we both go, oh, we could use the old machines, thank God.
I'm assuming they'll have to buy a machine for their vote. Or-
They
Rent?
use the new machines for some of their votes that they hold here at the school, but I
Right.
think that comes from the school, from the
Board of
Elections.
Okay.
So but the school physically owns the 2 machines that we use,
Okay.
so not the Board of Elections.
Will the newsletter get out in time for people to read it before the vote?
Yes.
Because we've had a problem with post office sitting on those.
We have
We're
it
working on it.
laid out the week before.
The target date would be the Friday before the vote, so that people could have it in hand for about 5 days, think about what it is that they wanted to vote on, and even in worst case scenario, if it didn't arrive until Saturday, they still would have plenty of time. Even if it arrived on Monday, they still have a couple of days where they can make up their mind. So, but ideally, we would like it to hit their home on Thursday or Friday of the week, and that's how we target it. We go out to the printer, into the mailing house, into the post office, and letting them know that this is what would be the best for us. Anything else?
Do you have any idea if other small libraries, nearby libraries, have the same problem where they are have
With
stopped
voting
using
machines?
the machines, or anything like that?
I don't know. I don't know. I know that they're all crying that they have to use, that they will eventually have to use the new machines because they are so expensive. Yeah.
All right.
Well, it's the ballots that are expensive. It's $1
It's
a piece.
a
is it
$1
not?
each, and you have to have enough
Enough
ballots
for the
on
whole.
hand to do like 80% of the voting population. So we only get 300 people coming through the doors, and we'd have to have, 10,000. It's a waste of paper. God, it hurts me to even say the words. That
Yeah.
what a waste it would be, because people don't come in and do our vote, like that. But maybe further on down the road, the legislators who have made up these rules will see how it just doesn't apply to everyone, and certainly doesn't apply to us. So,
Thank you.
is there anything else I can help anyone with as far as the vote goes?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. So that's it. Committee report. Unfinished business, I don't think there's anything to discuss that we haven't discussed already regarding the new library initiative. Right. That'll certainly be, an active, unfinished business topic, in subsequent meetings. Are there any other is there any unfinished business to discuss? Okay. New business, approval of state report. Now,
I think we just approve it.
yeah,
I don't have a problem with it too.
nothing, you don't wanna, nothing to discuss, we've discussed
We've
it
discussed
already.
it already.
But I'll just see if I can have them change that.
I think we should just, you just want a motion? Is that
Yeah, I
what-
was gonna do a
Okay.
motion,
I didn't know if there was like an official thing you had to.
I don't, no official thing, I just wing it, right?
Yeah, go for
Good
it.
luck.
All in favor?
All in favor of approval?
May I have a motion to approve the state report as Matt has compiled? I'm thinking about the proviso. Do I need to include that? No.
We could say as submitted,
As submitted, and if
Uh,
it's possible.
but if it's possible to make that change, then,
Revised as,
Do so.
revised as discussed.
One
Yeah.
correction pending.
Right. Can I have a motion to accept the state report as Matt has compiled, with the exception if they,
With or without the.
with or without the proviso?
yeah,
Mhm,
Is that
sounds
correct?
good.
Yes.
This, that covers everything.
that's good.
Who will make that motion?
I'll make,
What was that?
Okay, Ryan was all hot to make a motion.
I'll make
I don't think he-
Okay, Ryan made the motion.
Well,
We'll
he
make-
hasn't done
we'll
anything in a
s- We'll second that.
This is
Go
work,
for it. I
Ryan.
did it. I'm good for the month
Ryan's
of month of March. I'm done.
Hey.
Good night.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Alan, Mary,
Since I
all
put
in
Ryan in the
favor?
hot
Aye.
seat.
Aye, any opposed?
No.
Sure you want 3 more years?
Um,
Come on.
Is there any other new
Is that
business?
a
else,
good
doesn't
sign?
matter.
This little
I
write-up, that was
know.
very nice, that was in our packets, what is?
Yeah, that's actually, I actually use that 2 places. That goes to the RCLS highlights. Every year they collect highlights that from every member library, and that's what I wrote up for that. But I also used it for the text that accompanies the budget proposal. It's all sort of around that. I think they kind of do it that way because they know a lot of people have spring budget. They want to get you thinking about what have you done this year, so it's helpful for the newsletter as well. So there's a theme.
Put it up on the site.
Thank you.
And I can do that too. Yeah.
I think
Oh,
that's nice.
yeah. Okay. Great.
And if we have a previous version, you link on the site.
Okay. I don't know anything about this page for sure.
No.
I'm working on it.
There's
I
a
don't,
button.
I don't think personally,
Yeah.
so I'm working on it.
Before I move on, we'll be discussing the cell phone policy in executive session, or,
Okay.
right?
I don't know.
No, we need to discuss it.
All right.
But is it,
You're the boss.
Isn't it?
not? Is it something that has to be discussed in executive session?
I would think so.
I don't
It's
know.
not-
That's a weird one.
Any reason for holding off? No, then, I mean, we need to approve this. We kind of put it off the
Right.
last meeting.
Yeah, we can,
Discuss.
We need
So
to discuss it.
if you could, think back on, I don't know if you have a copy with you, I have mine here. I had a couple of, I don't know,
You were all set to go, Wayne.
good.
You have more?
Of course he does.
Wow.
You're so, you are a credit to the board, Bernie.
Brought this up 2 months ago.
Gosh.
Here he is now. Final document.
I thought just in case.
Just
Managed
leave
to
this down
see it
here.
for months.
Yeah, there's a couple of edits. The primary thing is the only reason I brought this up is that Matt technically has this ability to do this anyway, but we would just be bringing it up as backing him on it in general. And then we can just discuss to what degree, if we want to set limits.
Should we give him a burner phone?
Hmm?
We're gonna a drug dealer phone, would be
I said deeper.
great. It's gonna bother him at 3 in the morning with library questions.
Call.
That's right. But we
Well-
can get you to move on.
I mean, the basic thing, people, we're live. Basic thing is, we want Matt and anyone else to be reimbursed in the event that they're using their cell phones on library business.
Right.
No, is there, I know certainly Matt would have a need to use his cell phone. Is there a need for others to use his cell phone? I mean, it's like if they're at a program at one of the schools, is that where they'd use it? I mean, otherwise they'd be in this building.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. How much
Carol has
offsite
it,
stuff do
has
we
her
do?
hand up, sorry.
I think I'm
Go
the only one besides Matt that uses my cell phone, like I do. The phone on my desk is actually flipped. If you call into the library and hit my extension, you actually get to my phone. You wouldn't know that, but because I'm a part-time worker, I see it come up on my phone and I answer it like I'm sitting at my desk. Just trying to give people better service because I am a part-time employee. But having said that, I don't feel as though I need to be reimbursed.
Yeah. Well, it would all come down to
some
Matt
people
making
do
the
it.
decision on the reimbursement, on the need to reimburse. I mean, that's what I read in here.
Mhm.
It's not something we
But
bring.
Matt uses his every day.
That I understand, sure.
Could I
Yeah.
just so I understand, the policy, because if somebody says to me, you guys, you're paying for your cell phones for your staff, the argument that they might make is, everybody's got a cell phone, why should we pay for your cell phone? That's just like, it's like having a wallet or something. Everybody's got a cell phone. So what would be the counter to that? I mean, most employees don't have their cell phones paid for. What would be the response to that? So
Actually,
the kids in school have cell phones, the junior high kids,
Right.
everybody's got a cell phone. It's like a watch.
but it's generally an executive perk wherever you go.
Yeah, but
And it's-
I don't know,
it's-
this
It's
is,
also an on-call kind of thing, and,
Yeah, it's
yeah, and
it's.
I think I talked to Matt on his cell phone more than I talked to him at the library.
I'm sure you could think of examples where any of the staff, Michelle,
Yeah.
anybody aside from, not to disclude Carol, but anybody who uses their phone regularly has called in or has been someplace where they need to use their phone, and yeah, like you said, everybody's got their cell phone. I think probably for a 2-minute call once or twice a month, nobody's going to ask to be reimbursed, but it's only in cases where their cell phone is being used consistently for work. Yeah, I mean, David would be an example. David doesn't have, or probably doesn't want a cell phone, but if he were to be needed to be on call, well, let's say for a new library, and he would suddenly need to be on call more often than he is now, and he has no cell phone right now, and he would need one. Well, we would consider, and Matt would consider whether that's a requirement of the job or not, and whether, to what degree he should be reimbursed. Is it $20 a month, $40 a month, depending which plans there are. And the other side of this too is in the event that we actually need to buy wireless or portable devices for like ebook readers or something like that have cell service. If he wants to get one, because we wouldn't do it now because we're so strapped for cash anyway. But it come a time when he would want to get one to try it out, because people are getting more ebook readers. They're getting the Samsung. What are the big Samsung one now? That's
Oh, the Note or whatever.
the Note. Yeah, the Note.
But
Can't remember if it's
they
mine or if it's
wouldn't
a phone or a
need
tablet.
anything but wireless access to be able to download books.
Right.
I'm sure.
Perfect timing.
Nice
I
time.
couldn't put it on vibrate.
I'm not paying for that call.
I've been voted off the island. Good night.
That was funny.
There's a problem with it. I tried.
I can understand the executive perk, when it comes to
To Matt is really who I was just thinking of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, when I'm thinking, when I'm at a conference with teachers and they get a phone call, or they need to call the school district while they're at a conference or whatever, they use their cell phones, I don't think they're being reimbursed.
No.
Probably
So-
not, but they might actually
No,
they
probably
might actually
not.
run it off. At the
It all
end of the year,
depends
so.
on
Well,
how
you
it's
know,
used.
depends
fairly
on-
liberal
I mean,
plans
I
these
was
days.
just,
Yeah.